Hello everybody. I wanted to kind of do a weekend update video lesson because a lot of people are screaming that a bottom has definitely been put in. Some are saying that we're definitely going to fail. The truth of the matter is it's impossible to predict the future. Nobody can do it. All you can do is play the odds. And for right now, short term, the odds suggest we have to respect the price action. We can definitely rally a lot further. We have clear resistance at these November-December lows on the NASDAQ and the 50-200-day moving average. But for now, the follow-through day on Friday was very strong with very strong volume. Big intraday reversal on very large volume on the NASDAQ. It's hard to fight that price action. The NYSE, similar situation. Very large volume on Friday. Even get a pocket pivot point signal on the index here. You got some bigger volume on the reversal. You have to respect that. That's very strong follow-through day overall. And the Russell 2000 led with a 3.20% gain. And I got to admit, this is a great setup overall. Now, I know first off, a lot of people look at my charts and are like, oh my God, that looks kind of funny and everything. Just let you know that intraday basis, whenever I'm looking at charts, this is all I'm really looking at. I'm looking at price and volume, and that's all I care about. However, the telecharts are charts that I'm very used to looking at on my own terms, so I always like to prefer the lows to the intraday charts that I use. So with that being said, now what I want to do with the market looking like it is, what are some of our leaders right now? What are some of the best stocks that I like out there? Well, EEFT is definitely one of them. This is one of the best setups. This is a very large cup pattern. A lot of accumulation in the cup pattern with some pocket pivot point signals all throughout the basing pattern. My only issue is that normally in a base, as it goes along, you want it to be quiet. Very noisy here around the lows without the intraday reversals, and even though it's working its way on the right side, there's still a lot of overall volume in the base, and that's not necessarily what I want to see. So I'm going to really more than likely not buy an EEFT breakout if the market does fall through, and will instead look for a pullback to either that pivot point signal, excuse me, not pocket pivot point signal, and or a handle pattern on lower volume. But EEFT, this is in my perfect speculator scan. That's my top scan of top stocks that happens to also be a high quality CanSlim name. FSLR is another one. You can see here it's creating what could be considered a cup with high handle. However, the handle, kind of noisy for a handle, very volatile. Just all this gapping around makes FSLR even a dangerous new long proposition on a breakout high. You're going to probably want to see FSLR consolidate more sideways, calm down, then break out before I'm even going to be interested in going long. But FSLR is another leader that I'm very interested in because it's also my perfect speculator scan. JBSS, another one. It's building a right side of a cup pattern, but that's a pretty big intraday reversal on huge volume on Friday. So I'll be totally fine with it if it handles out then breaks out. But overall, another stock that's got some minor problems in it. And you would think that if this was a bona fide follow-through day, not only will we already have some stocks breaking out today that are clear buy signals for me, there probably would have been a few before today. And instead, following Friday's action, I didn't have any new long signals, just stocks I flagged like ELLI. This is another high-quality CanSlim name, but also one that can't be bought now as the volume pattern is all wrong in its base. This is also a perfect speculator scan stock, so it's obviously at the top of my list. And then recently, we were long CBPO, but we got knocked out with this move below the 50-day moving average on heavy volume after being long from back here in November when it looked like it could be breaking out to new all-time highs. But the market just got really rough. But look at all the red in my screen. And while you might not like that one per se as much as looking at the stock on this area, you can still tell that overall the stock is much sloppier and choppier compared to previous consolidation patterns. Look at it work its whole way up here, and then now look at what it's become. So once again, not necessarily the patterns that we want to see. And then also BMA, that's a perfect speculator scan stock too. BMA is another CanSlim quality perfect speculator stock, making a nice base, I guess you could say overall. But once again, there's a lot of red in my bot pattern, and the volume is all wrong in the base, heavy volume. In fact, we tried to get long this stock early with the pocket pivot point signal since it's perfect speculator quality, and got shaken out on this day. And on an end-of-day basis, if you weren't using intraday sell stops, then got shaken out on the 20th. And then look at what it's done. It's just reversed back higher. So once again, another stock that's pretty volatile and it's very hard to stay long these stocks here, which is why we're going to need to see the market calm down a minute. And if you look at BMA on a longer term chart, just look at it. Previously the bases were already kind of sloppy and wild, and now look at it. It's gotten very wide and loose. So the market isn't really set up necessarily for like a big, powerful rally here. Some other stocks that interested me on Friday that made nice moves, sure, right off the 200-day moving average, but look at how deep that is in a base. I mean, that's nowhere near its old high, so it'd be a very dangerous long right now. And once again, the stock was selling off on heavier volume, not below average volume, so we don't have everything, with the most perfect setup. And then a stock like VCRA, this stock is one of the better looking, more speculative names with the green bot, but it's even going in the wrong direction. And the breakout here, volume just isn't that strong, and in the base, above average volume. So like I said, we don't have the perfect setups that we're used to seeing, or the higher quality setups that we're used to seeing in a stronger tape. BRCM, I like the way that this one looks. It's consolidating. It's definitely not buyable. But besides that, XRS, posted a chart on that on StockTwits. This is one that is forming a proper base. This one has got a cut pattern right here. Volume, as you can see in this pace pattern, is below average most of the time. And the one time that we had heavier volume, it managed to reverse from there and work its way up. Pocket pivot point signal accumulation day off the 50-day moving average. Further follow through on Friday. Now all I'm looking for is a handle, and overall, as you can see, the pattern is pretty calm overall within the historical way that this stock trades. So it's a higher quality setup and a pattern that I'm more interested in than some of the other ones, but XRS is one of my top quality stocks out there. But still, like I said, not a whole lot to choose from. And then PLAB is another one. It's setting up. It's at the 200-day moving average, but it's sold off here on heavier volume. So it's going to need to continue to move sideways before it gets symmetrical enough for me to want to even consider it as a new possible long, unless it has a huge accumulation day right at the 50-day moving average on super strong volume and BOP races back to max green. Then I would change my mind. But like I said, most of these patterns, if I just go throughout the market and look at some of the names that have shown up in my scans, you can see that they're part of sloppy patterns. JP Morgan, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs. I mean, there's a lot of work these stocks have got to do. Home Depot, Lowe's, they're just deep in their base. Starbucks, it's not that bad, but you can see within the base it's noisy. Volatile bases have a high chance of failing. Facebook ripping to a new high, I like that, but how are you going to buy a move like that? Like, compare it to its previous moves. Just you compare these consolidation patterns, how tight they were, and then after August it's just gotten very volatile. So it's hard to trade a stock like that. But if Facebook can pull back, this is obviously a leading stock that we're very interested in. But like I keep saying, overall though, when you look at most of these patterns, and PWR is pretty nice, but they're pretty deep down in their bases overall, and there's distribution in the bases, which means they have a higher chance of failing. AEPI is another one that we like that's working on a consolidation pattern, but once again, it's a pretty noisy overall consolidation, even though it is favorable towards the bulls right now. We would normally like to see more quiet patterns. OLED, it's going to take a lot of work before that's viable on our end. JBT, CRUS, these are all good solid stocks that have got good accumulation in them, but they're coming from such oversold levels and they've sold off so much that it's just going to take more work before I can buy these stocks. IHC is another one. One of the stronger stocks continues to rise is OLLI. Too extended here. Got to wait for a pullback. So while things look better, there's still a lot of work that probably needs to be done in this market as I go through some of these names. And don't forget, our leaders are still like Mo, RAI, Philip Morris, utility stocks like AWK, YORW, which I flagged on Thursday, which followed through on Friday. You got utilities and tobacco leading, while a lot of these stocks have a lot of work before they're going to be buyable anytime soon due to all of the recent distribution that's hit these names. So it's going to just be a while, I say. Like, look at MasterCard and Visa. That's just going to take a while for a more constructive, symmetrical, non-volatile base produce itself. So for now, the bounce looks good on the short term. The accumulation looks good. The volume was good on Friday. I have no qualms with any of it. The leadership of the Russell 2000, Dow Jones Transportation Average, they were the two leading indexes, and this one got a pocket pivot point buy signal. All of this is great. It's a start. It's something to work on. But for now, that's all it is. There's some good out there, but it's going to be a while probably before we can really take off. If we do take off from here, I'm going to need to see a lot better patterns show up, or else I'm going to be underinvested for the next uptrend. But I have a feeling I really don't have to worry about that. There's a lot of resistance in this market. It's going to take some time before it can really take off.